The discussion is around, reinventing yourself. And we are coming through to you live on Facebook. It is Swane Space FM Space 93.6. And on Twitter, it's at Swane FM. I am coming through to you live as well on the Mokete Radebe Facebook account and Mokete Radebe on YouTube. Oscar and TJ are joining us today. Yeah. Gentlemen, good evening, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, good evening, man. Thank you so much for having us, and good evening to the listeners on Swane FM and everybody who's with us on Zoom, on Facebook. Greetings to you. Over to you, TJ.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. Thanks for having us. And on Facebook and everywhere else, this is broadcast. How are you guys doing? It's a great evening. I hope we add some value in your life this evening.
Very interesting. Maybe also just to say great evening to Sam Unzoane, Gift Siposetu, and Njabule Butelis. I think those are the gentlemen that I'm seeing that are joining us on the Zoom discussion there, TJ.
There's not even one woman. What's happening? It's only men
ladies
on the Zoom call. Eh?
Where are the ladies? The ladies don't want to go on Zoom.
Unless if the ladies are joining the Zoom using, their husband's account, which is, a good thing. Yeah?
It's one of those things that will happen, eh?
But yeah, it's 10 minutes after the hour, 7 o'clock. We are coming through to you live from Swane FM 93.6. And this is the discussion that we will be having today. I think during this, lockdown, during this COVID-19, Oscar came through with a very, very interesting, proposition of really, reaching out to people through the TikToks, and it has since, received a lot of demand from people. And we thought, let's expand this conversation to also the listeners of Swane FM. And I know that next week we'll be expanding it to TUT FM as well and other radio stations that will show interest. And the discussions really tonight, it's all about reinventing yourself really during this lockdown. A lot of people are going through a lot of things. And often it becomes difficult with the limitations that we have on the road, Oscar. So we're unable to reach people. And, so people like TJ are forced to work from their own spaces and to not reach people as they would like to. And I think this is the basis of today's discussion, Oscar.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. Thank you so much. And it's so amazing that after just the first episode, this thing is just going big. And I was wondering, today in the afternoon, I'm saying, after tonight, what's going to come next? Because it just started as an idea. It was just a small idea. I'm thinking, let's do tips talk just to keep each other, sharp during this time, because many people, they're stranded. They don't know what to do. Many people are asking themselves, what's going to happen next after this? How long will this take? How will we come out of this? How is life after the lockdown, after the coronavirus is gone? So basically, all the things that we are conversing on, it's not to, to pamper people, but it's to call you out, to say, guys, life is continuing. In as much as things that are uncomfortable are happening, things that are so uncertain are surrounding us, but how do we respond to it? We have to take charge. We have to be responsible, and we have to do our part to make sure that life goes on. When you look at lockdown started in March, we are in May. May is almost going to an end. Time is not waiting for us. So that's why I said, no, man, we need to charge each other, sharpen each other so that we can keep on moving with time. We have to move with time.
Indeed, it's 13 minutes after the hour, 7 o'clock, and I think the worst thing that we could ever do to ourselves, TJ, is to unconsciously assume that everything would be on pause and wait for the virus to end.
So and I think this is what I said last week. We did not cause the virus.
Yeah,
the virus happened to us. So, and most of us, what we do now is we wait and wait for TV 8:30 each and every day, and wait for the president to come forward and say, the virus is gone. You must go back to your work. You must go back to your school. Things will be the same way they were. And here's the truth. The truth is things will never go back to how they were. For instance, if you saw in the news, Twitter CEO came out and say their employees are going to work from home forever. So they have to choose. Before that, Investec here in South Africa had already decided that employees would work from home anytime they choose. Google said the same thing. Facebook is saying the same thing. So you can see that things are changing, and they are changing fast. So my first statement would be, the world as you knew it, it's gone. And the things that you are expecting, where you come from now, think about it this way. Who were you before the lockdown, before the virus came? Who are you now? And who are you supposed to be after the lockdown? And that's what I think is what I'm going to be going around as we discuss. I'm going to make some pointers around that.
Awesome.
And of course, 14 minutes have gone since the hour, 7 o'clock. It's 93.6. And we are coming through to you live on Facebook. My name is Mokete, Radebe, your host tonight. I'm joined by Mr. TJ Malamule
Yes.
and Mr. Oscar Rufaro. And the discussion around today is really the basis of reinventing yourself. And I just want to come back to what TJ was saying. I think it's quite essential that we comprehend. And I think this is the one thing that people are looking for during this period, to say, yes, I know what has happened yesterday. I can see what is happening around me, but I had not thought as far as how should tomorrow be like. And I think that's the right thinking. And I remember earlier on we were discussing with Oscar to say, part of the challenge on the circumstances that we tend to face is our attitude around things. To say, how do we react to things? And it also just reveals in terms of what kind of attitude we have towards ourselves. So, sometimes I like making, examples with Bible, but I don't want to limit it to that, but biblically, there's a book of James that says that, we must rejoice in times of difficulties because of our character goes through a testing of times. And it will make sure that as we go through that stage, we become better than we were yesterday. And quite often, teacher, you remember that from happy times, it's seldom that we learn something, but from difficult times, we learn that we shouldn't do any mistake. And I think in this regard, the one mistake that we've been making all along in our lives has always been that life is comfortable, that change is not as inevitable as we always hear people telling us that it is. I mean, a lot of people that were relying on traditional ways of procuring their businesses are the ones that are stressed. And I think the greater part of their stress, Oscar, is not so much about losing business, but it's so much on how do I get back to providing business in a different way. Because of, if you had not thought as far as finding a way to adjust with change. Alvin Toffel says the illiterate of the 21st century are not those who can't read and write, but those who are not willing to change, or rather, those who are not willing to learn, relearn, and unlearn the old ways. And I think that's the most difficult thing. You get into their house, TJ, ever since the children were born, we always make sure that we shake their head. But there's no specific reason why we should continue with that tradition. And this is the one thing that we need to continue, talking about tonight, to say we are not being, we're not being welded down to remain in the old way of doing things. And this is what the discussion should be about, to say it's about time that we change our attitude so we can allow reinvention to take place within ourselves.
Yeah, no, that's very key. What you're saying, and let me just touch on three things. The first thing is a little bit of a history. 2011, when I finished my A level, and in 2011, I was then told I need to move to South Africa for school. Now, change was coming my way. To be honest, my first semester was the worst semester in 2011 because I didn't want to be here. So what I did in December when I went home for holiday, it was a time to reinvent myself. It was a time to rework myself, to say, if I'm going to be the Oscar that I want to be in the coming years, school is necessary, and the only place that I have to go to school is where I am, and I'm relocating. I'm not coming back home anytime soon. I will visit home, but I need to focus. So I worked on myself that entire holiday, that when I came back in 2012, my whole world changed. So number one thing is attitude. My problem was attitude. nothing else. I just had an attitude, I didn't want to be home. So it's the same thing today. We find ourselves in an attitude of saying, I want to hold on to yesterday. I want to hold on to the way we've been doing things, the way we have been working, the way we've been communicating, the way we've been engaging. I want to hold on to that. While it's not for that moment, and sometimes certain things, they die for good. They are never to resurrect. The second word that I want to deal with is the word wait. The word wait is misunderstood, because when somebody's saying, I'm waiting for the end of the lockdown, I'm waiting for the disease to come to an end, I'm waiting for this and that. The word wait doesn't mean stop doing anything. When we connect it with the word waiter, people that we see who serve in restaurants, those guys, they don't just stand. When they're standing, they're preparing for somebody to walk in. They're preparing a smile. They're fixing their face. They're preparing a table that person is going to sit when they arrive. So when you're calling yourself that I'm waiting for something, in another word, I'm saying wait and prepare to me have become a same word. When you're waiting, you are to prepare. So whatever that you're waiting to say, let the lockdown come to an end. Okay, my question to you is, when the lockdown comes to an end, then what? So for now, you should be preparing yourself for the end of it. While you wait for the end of it, you must be doing something. Shaping yourself to be relevant after it's over. Shaping yourself to be relevant from work to society. The things we used to do, we might never do them, or we will be doing them in a total different way. And the last word is the word maturity. If you're going to be able to reinvent yourself, maturity has to kick in. What is maturity? For me, maturity is the ability to ask the question, why? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing it this way? Why not do it that way? So the moment you start to engage in that conversation with yourself, you are challenging the status quo, you are challenging the norm, and you are saying, can't we do things a little bit better? Can't we improvise? Can't we bring in new tactics? So the matured, the wise, those that want to remain in front, my advice to them is that be matured in this season by asking the questions, why? Why is it necessary for me to go to the office every day? Why is it necessary for me to engage in a certain way? The moment you start to ask those questions and finding answers, you'll find yourself in a place where you are becoming effective and you're being shaped to the relevance of the now.
Okay, that's powerful, Oscar. And I think my contribution will be on what is the meaning of reinvent. Simple. On a dictionary says is to change something so much it appears to be entirely new. So when we talk about reinvention, we're talking about something changing until it appears to be entirely new. And I have to tell you that changing something to be new has to deal with pain. So without pain, there's no growth. If I was speaking on a stage, because I do motivational speaking, I was going to say, without pain, there's no pay. Without pain, there's no pay. So it means now, for you to become the new person in the other new world, you need to go through a level of pain. And then this is how I'm going to make you think about it. Think about it this way. You are where you are because of what you've done or who you are. So the marketplace pays for value. The marketplace pays you for value. So whatever that you do, if you bring in value, the marketplace give you back in exchange what? Money. If you go to work, you give them value, they give you what? They give you money. If you're running a business, you give them value, they give you money. So in other words, I said value because I want you to think about this. What problems are going to be there after the lockdown? Then position yourself or become, stop the to-do list and start the to-be list. You move from the to-do list to the to-be list because now you say, this is what I am going to be. So because of what I'm going to be, these are the steps and the things I am going to be doing. Then you look at that in that way and then you say, what problems are going to be there? Because as a human being, you are paid for the problems that you solve. You are paid. The world is going to pay you after lockdown for the problems that you solve. So then you must think about the next bounce of the ball. What are the problems that are going to be there when this thing is done? And then what quality of a person is, or what quality of a person is going to be solving those problems? Then the second question, am I that person? Am I that quality of a person who's going to solve those problems? If I'm not, what are the things that I'm supposed to be doing now for me to be that person when this thing is done? So in other words, I'm not just going to read more books. I'm not just going to run. I'm not just going to go out and run, but I become strategic. And I said before the call, I told someone here that with the information that you have now, you can solve 90% of your problems. So what we do as human beings, we postpone taking action by learning more things. So unfortunately, it's time. I think now it's time where we'll say, I know with what I know now, what can I do? Then when I achieved that, then the next step will be, now that I achieved that, now let me graduate to the new problems. So the information that you have now must help you to solve the problems you have. Then get new information to graduate your problems. Then you are graduating and you are reinventing yourself and you are becoming better in life.
Interesting. 25 minutes after the hour, 7 o'clock. And yeah, the gentlemen are on par. You know, there's one interesting quote, and it's by the Kawi quote, and it says, the same boiling water that softens the potato hardens the egg. It's about what you made of, not the circumstances. Dr. Miles Monroe makes an interesting point, and he says, you know, the lion is not bigger than the elephant, not smarter than the rabbit or the snake, or not even the monkey, but still it remains, you know, the leader of the jungle. And he says, you know, it is because of its mindset. It has told itself that it is a hunter and it will rule the jungle. Similarly with the eagle, it is not the biggest of birds, but it is the mentality that it has that has made it to become the highest in terms of birds. Growing up, I was once told of a story of two boys who were raised by a drunkard, and one of them became a doctor, and one of them graduated to become an even better drunkard than his father. And upon discussion, and you know, the one boy who was a drunkard said, I saw my dad who was a drunkard, and I realized that is the way of life. And the other one said, I saw my father in terms of how he was, and I knew at that point in time that this is not the man that I want to be. And I draw, you know, motivation from that I'm going to be a total opposite from that. No. So often what influences our sense of belief, and which ultimately becomes how we react and act to situation, is how we conceive things and how we identify ourselves in the society. If you view yourself as a victim of circumstances, then you'll be exactly that. But if you see yourself as a victor in circumstances, then that's exactly what you'd be. And I think for today, my view, it's on attitude and on how you see yourself personally as a person. And you know, there's a lot of people that you know, have got, you know, rich parents, or rather wealthy parents who afford almost everything, and they still have a reason to tell you that actually my parents are always chasing money. They don't have time for me. This is why I'm not making it. And there's someone who has parents who do not have money, who are never there, and they'll tell you that the absence of my parents motivated me to want to work hard so that I can have all the time in the world, all the time and the money in the world to be able to have family time. So I think during this period, we're not trying to make you feel small, but we're saying you're not a bad person. You just haven't mastered the strength that you have during this lockdown. You know, there's other people who have actually taken time to say, because I've been on the road and I've always been around people, maybe this is a time for me to just speak to myself and listen to myself. TJ, you know, Dr. Miles Monroe, Oscar, there's where he speaks about how some people have never been introduced to themselves. There's people who are afraid of themselves, and this is why people are saying liquor stores must be open, because of the sense of soberness and dealing with their reality. It's just too unbearable, you know. They just don't
and dealing with your wife, on a sober mind, Monday to Monday, must be tough.
Indeed, I mean we've seen a lot of relationships also succumbing to pressure because of people now realize that, hey man, this is how these things. This is the kind of person that I'm married to. So this is an opportunity as well to learn who you are and work on yourself so that you can come out as a better you. And it's a great opportunity, I believe.
No, that's very true. And you know, mastering self, I think, is the beginning of mastering anything else. The biggest mistake that you can do is to spend your time, your entire life, trying to master things around you before you've mastered yourself. So you know, it's like chasing the wind. You know, I look at one of the things that hinder us when moments of change have come. It's the what if scenario. You know, that what if mindset is one of the things that has stopped so many people to become great. I said last week in our talk, and I said many people became millionaires during the times of crisis. The only thing that made them to prosper during moments of crisis is they did not fear the question, what if? Because remember, the question, what if, has got two sides. It's what if you fail? And normally we pay attention to what if I fail? But what if you make it? I've always made a choice to say, let me look at things in the positive side. What if I make it? What if I make the money? What if the business takes off? What if the contract comes through? Let me give it a shot. Because the moment you're going to pay attention to the negative side, the negative things that might happen, you might never conquer anything. The human mind, the human brain has got a flee or fight, you know, setting that it has. When something that is uncommon comes your way, or something that you're not familiar with comes your way, it's either you run away or you'll face it. And many people, they always opt to run away, and they will live a life. You know, I always say, I rather tell people how I tried and failed, rather than to tell you I never did anything. I rather have a story written of how I tried 5 times, I failed, and I made it on the 6th time. Like, rather than having a life of saying, this was a guy who lived home and died at 99 years old. That doesn't make sense. Nothing. And you did nothing. Like a guy in the Bible by the name Methuselah. The only thing we know about him is the names of his sons and the years he lived on earth. That's it. So the question, yeah, you can take over, TJ.
I wanted to speak on this thing that you spoke about regarding clarity. And I think that's everything. The beginning, the foundation of all success comes from clarity.
Yes.
With better clarity, you make better decisions. With better decisions, you take your life to the next level. So most of us are flooded because we don't have clarity. What we do, we blame circumstances around us. We have a lot of why me generation. Our generation is why me? Why are these things happening to me? I'll give you an example. And a lot of people might be going through this. I started working, and I was working for a company in Pretoria East. I was doing well. Everything seems to be going fine. And I got fired from my job. And that's what most people are going to get. You're going to get fired from your job. If you're watching this, some of us are going to lose our job. People are getting retrenched. And when I got fired from my job, I was staying in Mooikloof. I was, going up in the food chain level. I was saving the right address. I was starting to become this guy that you recognize because I was staying in the Babs. Then when I lost my job, then I got locked out of my place. What did I have to do? I had to have clarity because I know and I understand that I am not the things that I have. I am bigger than the things that I have. I'm bigger than my car. I'm bigger than my house. I had to move from Mooikloof, go and rent a place in town somewhere. And where I rented, I was staying in a room with other guys and I couldn't even raise rent for that particular place. Mind you, remember, I moved from here at a place where everything's been going fine. Now I'm at this place where I'm supposed to pay $500. I can't pay $500. They're trying to chase me at that particular place. But then I had to work my way up to a place where I am today, where I've spoken in several countries, where I've gotten standing ovation in Dubai, in India, and other parts of the world as I do keynote speaking, where I'm running a few successful businesses, where I'm doing a lot of other different things. How did that come from? It came from this one way. If anything has to be done, it's up to me. I'm gonna stop blaming other people. It's not my boss that fired me that I'm supposed to blame. It's not my parents who were not able to take me to school that I'm supposed to be blamed. If I have to succeed, it's me. If I will fail, it's me. There's a song I like. It says, I decided long time ago not to live on anyone's shadow. If I fail or succeed, at least I lived as I believed. And I think that's powerful.
Yeah, that's very profound. That's very
because
profound.
your life, and I think that's what we need to start thinking about. That your life, it's in your hands. Whether there's corona or no corona, whether things are going to change or not going to change, it's not the government, it's not the corona. At the end of the day, you're going to go down in history as a person who succeeded or a person that failed. Not as a person that was affected by corona, not as a person that was fired, not as a person that had to be forced to study from home, but as a person who took responsibility for their whole life to do and change their own life. So my words are, your life are in your hands. If your life has to change, it's you. It's not your parents, it's not your employer, it's not your siblings, it's not any other person. I took myself to school throughout to the last level. No one has ever paid a cent for me. No bursary. I never got any bursary from anyone. I had to find my way. You see? So here's the thing. The road will look dim. Don't look at the last step. Look at where you are today. What can I do today with what I have to go to the next level? Then tomorrow, what can I do with what I have tomorrow to go to the next level? In other words, you have to do what you have to do. You have to do what you have to do to get what you want out of your life.
25 minutes after the hour, 7 o'clock, still jumping on, that very same point. Yeah, blaming others, TJ. And I think not so long, I shared this on my social media platform that I think we also need to enlist blaming others as one of the shortest way of comfortably failing in life. Because it is easy for you, very easy and comfortable for you to sit there comfortably failing and putting a blame on other people, and it makes life really very comfortable. When you say, yeah, and I could have made it if my parents were like TJ's parents. Yeah, and I could have made it if Oscar had opened doors for me. And by the way, I think here's another important thing about what you said with regards to being, fired. There's other people that have been knocking for opportunities and they've never got them. And they are searching for other new opportunities and they will never get them because their attitude is wrong. Some people are seeking for opportunities because they want to get those opportunities and come back and mock those people who didn't open doors for them. You see, there's a very simple concept in this world that sometimes in the doors that you opened, or rather that you knocked, they were not opened because you were not the right candidate at the time. Either you were not ready as you are today, or they were just far much more better people than you. As much as you're a better person now compared to the other people that have applied for the same job that you have now, or for the same opportunity that you have now. So we need to also just, I think, as we change our attitude, stop pointing fingers at government, stop pointing fingers around other people. And I know that social challenges are affecting us all, and it's a very empirical thing that we need to look into as a society. It's a critical stage for everyone. But the last thing we need now is people that are going to have a sense of entitlement, people that are going to have a sense of saying, yeah, well, if I blame so and so, yeah, then I'm free from everything. 37 minutes have gone since 7 o'clock. Gentlemen, I'm going to take a quick break and one song, and then when we come back, we continue with the discussion. And I know that there's maybe a few questions as well, Oscar, that you can check, and so that we can be able to answer them. But we'll do all that after this short break with one song as well.
Awesome. Are we allowed to dance?
Hello?
Some of the changes, they don't need your qualification. They have nothing to do with the option to get which is. But immediately get our Facebook. Since it was 1909, 1910, long before I was born, Saulo, 1916, Utisha, Oliseala, 1928, Aole, Oliseala, Tarababoya, Saulo, Oliseala. Oh, did you have a time?
This one by Kiri Kumalo is titled Tinisela. 38 after 7 o'clock is a throwback to Thursday.
No. I'm gonna use my phone, I think.
Oscar.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I see I'm admitting people here. Oh, no, ndakuwa nange ngamikino ndakuwa.
It's 45 minutes after the hour, 7 o'clock. Kid Kumar on this one. Title of the song is Tinisela. Made a big hit on this one. I remember after this song, Kelly Kumara actually released a song titled Nichichi. Very interesting musician, and I must say, very talented, Kelly Kumaro. It's 46 minutes after the hour, 7 o'clock, and we are still on the Capital Talk right here on 20 FM, 93.6. My name is Mokete, your host tonight. And of course, I'm joined by interesting gentlemen, and I'm with, that is Mr. Oscar Rufaro and TJ. We are just, sharing content that we believe has a potential of, making your lockdown not, as heavy as a lot of people are experiencing during this present moment. And our discussion tonight, it's really about reinventing yourself during this lockdown. And you can join us on Facebook. It is Space FM Space 93.6, and we are listening to your questions there. Otherwise, we are coming through to you via Zoom, and ultimately you can check, Rufaro Oscar as well on Facebook. We're coming live there as well, and also on his YouTube account, and that's where we can actually check some of your comments right there. And if you want to just weigh in on some of the things that caught our attention this week, feel free to join us, gentlemen. Let's get back to it. We're 13 minutes left, till we make our way out for the next show.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. One thing that comes to my mind when we, with this topic that we're dealing with today is the issue of pride. Pride is going to hinder many people to take a seat where they are supposed to take a seat in this time. Especially, like what TJ was telling us, a story of, losing your job, living in a nice place, all that comfort. If he was not humble enough, he could have done crazy things to make sure that he keeps his address. So those are the things that we need to be careful in this season, is that let us be humble. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong to change your address. There's nothing wrong to changing the car that you've been using. There's nothing wrong with actually losing a car and starting afresh. That's part of the process of reinventing yourself. Now, pride will say to you, keep the status, keep the image for the sake of people. What will people say? Let me tell you the truth. If you're going to live your life, choose a career, choose a marriage partner, choose anything based on what will people say, I'm telling you the truth, you've lost your life immediately. We are to live our lives as we are to live them, not for the sake of what will people say. That shouldn't be the consideration. The issue is, what will you be remembered with? If you take such a decision, how will we remember you? Not what will we say about you today? Because the whole thing in life is about leaving a legacy. And the unfortunate thing about a legacy, it can be positive, it can be negative. You can be remembered as the #1 crook that ever lived, or you can be remembered as one of the most meek people that ever lived, like Moses in the Bible. So you choose which part of the life you want to walk. But my advice is be humble. Be humble enough to let go of that office job that's not working now and go and sell, if it means going to sell in the streets. I was having a chat with TJ yesterday, and he was saying to me, you've got a tendency of selling anything that you're able to sell. And and I said to him, I've learned that I'm going to sell anything as long as I'm not selling anything illegal. I'm going to sell, because the moment you sell a product, I'm going to earn something at the end of the day. So think of that. That's part of reinventing yourself. Be humble. If it means you're going to sell mask, if it means you're going to sell veggies, if it means you're going to sell eggs, whatever the thing that you thought it's so low, can I be honest with you? There are people that are doing that and they're on the top of the ladder. They are the ones that are making money as we speak. So find opportunities. Let your eyes be open to opportunities. Even if it means you're going to wear a work suit throughout the day and bath in the evening. Be humble and do what you have to do.
So the whole idea was we have to do what we have to do until we do what we want to do. We have to do what we have to do until we can do what we want to do. And I think people should think of this, and this is important. You are not the car that you drive. You are not the clothes that you wear. You are not the address where you stay. You are bigger than the car. You are bigger than the address. You are bigger than the clothes that you might be wearing. So if you find your identity and you are clear of who you are and what you want out of life, you'll stop all these things, because people who don't have the idea of who they are, people without actually their identity. And identity, I define it as like ID, irresistible difference. People don't have that ID. What they do, they try to find their idea either in resources, in the things that they have around them. That's why it's easy that if I don't have my ID, it's as a man, for me to define myself, I must find myself 7 girlfriends, then I am the man. Because I don't understand who I am, I must go out every weekend, even if I don't have money, because I'm trying to find my identity in that. So going to what Oscar was saying is that don't find yourself in things, find yourself in who you are, find yourself from within. And when you find yourself from within, you will understand that everything around you is resources for purpose. It's the resources that are supposed to help you to fulfill a certain purpose, not to show off. That's why most of us, if we lose our jobs, we lose our friends. The other time I was talking about budget friends. We have what we call budget friends. You have other friends now. When things go wrong, you'll understand that you don't have friends, because you have friends because you have a budget. When the budget move, they also move. Some people have got budget relationships. You're in a relationship now because you have the budget. When the budget moves, the relationship moves. So in other words, you must start looking yourself from the inside and understand that I can lose everything, but what I can't lose is myself. If I still have myself, if I still can still be able to wake up, I can still do something with my life. And I wanted to make this. Guys, if someone has got access to the internet, you can be anything that you want to be in the world. The world has changed. The internet and social media has leveled the ground. As long as you can have access to the internet, you can change your trajectory and your life. Most of us, what we do with the internet, instead of studying, watching videos that can empower us, watching things that can be able to help us, strategies, how to sell this, how to do this, how to do that, we use the internet to go on Twitter and be part of Black Twitter and just insult people hiding behind the screen instead of making your life better. So with what you have now, with the internet that you have, with your phone that you have, what can you use that for you to go to the next level of your greatness?
I teach you fun. You're a problem. Yeah, no, man. Oscar, this man, he touches on something very critical. And what you touched on is actually the reason we're facing so many challenges in society. People have identified themselves through the social class that has been imposed to them by society. That that's why I can't marry a wife who earns more than me, because of what will people say. I must have a car and I must have slept with so many women so that I can fit in. And it's a huge challenge. It actually adds on to the many challenges that we're facing. But I think the other point, and that I found to be quite critical as well, is procrastination. A lot of people think that they've got all the time in the world to mingle around, and one wise man was saying, actually, procrastination is the arrogance of unconsciously assuming that you have until tomorrow to do it, and the reality is no one knows what tomorrow holds. God forbids. Probably this is the last time some people would be hearing from us, because of the future is not known. The next seconds, the next minute is not known. And why are you going to be arrogant and say, you know what? Not today, I'm tired. I'll start reading a book tomorrow. Not today, I'm tired. I'll start, empowering myself tomorrow. Not today, I'm tired. And that has become, a very serious problem. And I think you mentioned it earlier on, that a lot of people are just collecting information and they're doing nothing about it. And because, to be quite honest, Oscar, the difference between, what we're talking, the people who are listening now and the people that are going to be effective tomorrow, it's what are you going to do with what you are listening to now? Because if really you are bored and you decided to join as a child that is being born at a hospital, you are as good as a person who won't be here tomorrow because of you've got this knowledge. You know that it's good and it must be used, but you are not convicted that it must happen. And up until you get that point of ultimate conviction where it forces you, it bends you, to act, then it's pointless. And I think for me that has been one of the greatest challenges as well. People are not disciplined enough to to identify what is important for them, and maybe it's because of they don't even know their identity. TJ.
Well, that's profound. I think because of we chasing with time, I will say two things. The first thing is that Unshackle the Unlimited You. One will remember a book I wrote and published in 2017. With those words, I want to say, in every person, we've got a capacity that we have that's unlimited. Regardless of what's going on around you, trapped inside you, it's so much greatness, it's so much potential, it's so much wisdom, it's so much knowledge that needs to be exercised. So the difference between you and the person who is successful more than you is the things that you have done, which is the actions that you have committed yourselves into. The difference between the richest man and the poorest man is not just the availability of opportunities, it's the availability of the desire to do something. If I have an opportunity and the next person has an opportunity, if I don't take mine and they take theirs, they are going to move forward and I'm going to remain the same. So what I'm saying from this is this: move with what you have. Start with what you have. The second word is exercise. If you can commit to exercising your body, I don't know how many times you do it during the week. As much as you're taking care of your body weight, take care of the sharpness of your brain. Take care of the sharpness of your spirit. Take care of the sharpness of your emotions. Exercise them every day. That is one thing that's going to keep you relevant. That's one thing that's going to keep you employable. That's one thing that's going to keep you competent. Continue exercising. Wake up in the morning after your job. Go and jog with a presentation. Take your presentation, do it on a mirror. Exercise how to use Zoom. Exercise how to use Facebook to do business, not to like and share stuff that are necessary. Not for you to be, just to get likes, but use it for you to earn money. Through Facebook, you can make money. Through Twitter, you can make money. Every social media platform, as we speak, you can make money from it. So every day, exercise. Those are the words that I'll say.
Wow. And I think maybe with my closing words, I'll talk about my MBI. So I've got a formula that I use. So it has to deal with move, breathe, and set your intention. So every day when you wake up, move, breathe, and then set your intentions. With setting your intentions, ask yourself, what kind of a person do I want to be in the next year or so? And then what are the intentions? What are the actions that I'm going to take for me to be that person? Stop the to-do list, start the to-be list. Life, the difference between a successful person and a person who's not successful is who they are. So the more value you add in yourself, the more you'll attract success. Success is not something that we chase, it's something that we attract. That's why you don't chase a butterfly and catch it. You water your garden and tend your garden, and success comes like a butterfly and sits on you.
Oof. Yeah.
It's 59 minutes after the hour, 7 o'clock, and I think for me, the closing argument would be, if you know where you're going, you will know which road not to take and which road to take, and also
100%.
Who you should be going with and who you shouldn't be going with. Furthermore, you'll know what mode of transport will take you there and which one won't take you there. For instance, a car can't take you to USA. Or a horse can, in as much as a horse might not be viable if you want to cross the border all the way, to Tanzania. So you need to first comprehend and know where you're going, identify the destiny, and then the rest will fall into place.
Yeah. Yeah,
Gentlemen, thank you so much. This is where we leave it. It's been a great evening, and I think maybe you can just, say bye to the listeners, and thank you each and every person that came through to join us tonight.
Wow, awesome. Thank you guys for joining us, and thank you for giving us this opportunity to be with you for the past hour. I hope you got something from this conversation, and keep running, guys. We are available to talk to you when you need us to engage. And that's one of the things. Some people, you're looking for people to talk to just for you to get a confirmation that your idea is right. So hook us on social media. Let's talk and let's keep running.
So guys, you can catch me on social media. It's TJ Malamule, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can drop me a line if you do have a question or something. I'll be able to respond. I might not respond within 24 hours, but at the end of the day, I will respond. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
much. And of course,
much.
on Facebook, it's Mokete Radebe, Instagram, Mokete Radebe, Mokete82 on Twitter. This one is by Mandoza. The title of the song is Nkalagata. Great evening to you, Tony.